Hello, everybody. Welcome to Carrow Road on what is a very cold morning and has been a very cold 48 hours here in Norfolk. Obviously, we had snow yesterday. As we look out on the pitch now, it's looking in a significantly better condition than it did when I arrived just after 12 o'clock this afternoon. Still some stewards out there with shovels. But it looks, much, much better. The team is out, so here it is for you. Kovacevic in goal. Fisher, McConville, Darling and Mahovo is the back four. Matson and Kenny McLean retain their positions is the midfield duo. Jurasek on the right, Jacob Wright in the 10, with Jovan Makama on the right and Josh Sargent up front. So just to run through that again for you. Kovacevic in goal, Fisher, McConville, Darling, Mahovo, Matson and McLean, Jurasek, Wright, Makama and Sargent. The subs bench, Grimshaw, Stacey, Medic, Krezene, Springett, Marcondes, Slimani, Schwartau and Matthias Kliskoren. Paddy, 3 changes, and I guess probably maybe the Cordoba one is the big one. Not in the squad at all this afternoon after what was, I felt, a very good performance at QPR. But in Harry Darling, clearly a pretty capable replacement for Norwich City.
And but going back to the Cordoba one, it does seem strange because I thought he was very good in the type of game that suited him at QPR. But Medic is on the bench, so it seems strange. But then if you listen to what Philippe Clement has been saying all through this period about rotation and managing minutes, then we won't certainly jump to any conclusions regards Jose Cordoba and fitness, because to go from a leading role in the 90 minutes, first under Clement, and then out of the matchday squad, it seems a little bit harsh, but maybe that is just something to adapt to how this guy wants to use his squad. And obviously, conversely, we were sat a few rows along from Yakov Medic at Loftus Road on the midweek, and he's had to bide his time, and he gets a little chance on the bench today. So, and then Darling comes back in, but McConville is the common denominator. So the strides that man continues to make, hat tip to him. But it's more for me, my eyes drawn to forward areas. Another start for Jurasek. Again, that shows the trust Philippe Clement has in him. I asked him after the game, QPR, you asked him yesterday, and I think all that's lacking in Philippe Clement's mind with him is the physicality and the physical intensity. And if that's something that Kenny McLean said to you and Chris Gorham after the game at QPR, that he's working on day in, day out at Colney, are you aware of that? He's trying to address that. If he can add that, bolt that onto the technical ability. I mean, what I didn't realise was how good that, if you go back and watch it, that QPR goal is made by his touch to bring it onto his left and move it out onto his right, completely in one motion. High level quality, technical piece of skill, left the fullback. That's how he bought the yard to get to the byline, and then the composure to put it in an area where Sargent was almost fighting off Schwartau to put it in the back of the net. That is a player of very, very decent technical ability. What he has lacked is the ability to stay fit and then the ability to impact it in terms of physical elements, and not just going forward, but clearly in the role that he's playing in this side, he needs to go back and do his work the other way, out of possession. So another opportunity today suggests that Philippe Clement is happy with what he saw at QPR from him, and why not? And got to be honest, Wright and Makama, that's no slight on Schwartau. I like that as a 3 now behind Sargent. I think that's a real potent 4 to cause Stoke a lot of problems, with Matson and McLean offering that insurance in behind. I like that lineup a lot.
Yeah, and some of the changes obvious, isn't it? We've seen the Krezene Mahovo rotation all throughout the festive period. Makes sense with both of those coming back. I think with Schwartau as well, it makes a lot of sense given he started every game of this festive period. He was one of the kind of 4 that I was looking at: McConville, McLean and Matson all playing and all in that starting 11, which is going to be a huge ask for them to come back. But yeah, the body of work and the load that has been put on that young man's shoulders has been pretty remarkable. But I think, Paddy, I mean, you mentioned that kind of attacking lineup now, and if you look at that sort of front 4, Jurasek, Wright, Makama, Sargent, there's a lot now to be excited about from an Norwich City perspective in there.
As long as they keep tracking on, yeah. I mean, what was that, 9 for Makama, 7 for Sargent? A team who are in the bottom 3 at kick-off, they've got 16 league goals between them in terms of their strike force. But Clement, I thought, chimed with what I tried to put in my pointers after QPR. I think they're too over-reliant on those 2. They need to find goals from other areas of the team, but that's a lovely base to start with, that you have 2 potent forwards. What they need is service, and obviously Wright has really put a marker down in that 10 role. And now, hopefully, Jurasek is stepping up as well and offering assists and goal threat as well. So that is a lovely mix. Yeah, and Chris Gordon, thought it was interesting what he said yesterday, but he clearly has some work to do on maybe the Jurasek spectrum in terms of fitness and physicality. to get to the point where he could be dropped in. But given his pedigree, given how much Norwich paid for him last summer, add him to the mix, and it's quite exciting, I think, in forward areas. It's just, for me, still defensively, and the keeper, if I'm honest, I just think there's a crash course he needs to go on in terms of commanding your box and getting stuck in his own 6-yard box, and his defenders having to head balls away. We saw that again at QPR. We've seen it liberally a lot of games in this recent period, and it doesn't inspire confidence in his players, I'm sure. It doesn't inspire confidence in anybody watching him. No dispute, he's a very good shot stopper, but he needs to command and exude more authority. And if they do that, the strides that Fisher McConville has made, Cordoba now the other day, there's a lot of positivity to work with. And, of course, we're on the cusp of, I think, a new signing as well to add to the mix. So, all in all, very encouraging. But they have to keep the hammer down, and because they're coming from such a low base, and hopefully get the result today. You never know. That might be out of the bottom three for the first time in 2.5 months, and what a great start to 26 that would be.
Yeah, and it would be, wouldn't it? Oxford games, Oxford and Portsmouth games have both gone today due to the weather. Oxford, of course, were due to be playing Sheffield United at lunchtime. That got called off, and Portsmouth were due to be home at home to Ipswich, and that's been called off as well. So there is that opportunity for Norwich City, but clearly as well that leaves some of the teams who either are above them or beneath them. Pretty with games in hand, and it always depends, doesn't it, in the debate over whether you'd have the games and the points in the bank or to be chasing. Just before we come to the Stoke team, Paddy, obviously an opportunity, and I know McCarmer will be playing on the right, but McCarmer and Sargent in the same team. I think there's been a lot of debate over how that might look, how it could look. And I guess if you're a Norwich City fan turning up here today, seeing both of those in the starting 11, particularly as we'll come on to a Stoke side who are pretty depleted down that left-hand side, feels like a real opportunity for them to stake a claim in wide areas today.
Well, given I think there's a new signing, and in Clement's words, there's another new signing in Papa Jallo, who hopefully through this month now will build himself up to a point where he's available to compete. So, little like he explained with Chris Gordon and how McCarmer grabbed his chance, these players now in possession of the shirts, currently fit and available and getting their opportunities, they have to take them, because in very short order they can expect some increased competition, and that's how it should be. That's the only way they're going to drive up the level collectively and individually to get that consistency in result, which is Philippe Clement has said a few times now. That's what separates the really successful teams, but they can churn out results home and away. Maybe not playing at their best, they can still find a way. And I think we've seen real positive signs of that, with those regressive trends still there. The way Watford probably got a result they shouldn't have done in both home and away games. The Preston nasty end there, and one or two other games. They're not quite there, but I think adding in even more quality to the mix, and certainly as well, any players who come through the door in this month will be very much profile-wise what Philippe Clement wants to work with, not what he's inherited. That's a key difference. So, if you're McCarmer, if you're Jurasek particularly, you have to keep the hammer down, and you have to, you've got an opportunity to really impress, because if you don't, as he's shown with Rob Condes, how he's come in and out of the side, as he's now shown with Chris Gordon, reputation, price tag count for nothing. If he doesn't think in here and now they can add something to the mix, he won't play them. So, if I'm anybody playing today, then in forward areas, knowing that there's a new signing through the door, then and Jallo to come into the mix, I probably know I need to continue justify my place. Otherwise, for this head coach, I don't think there's any favours or any sentimentality. If he doesn't feel you're pulling your weight, you will come out of the team. End of.
We will come to Ali Ahmed in a moment and speak a little bit about that in more detail. Let's bring you the Stoke team then, and they arrive at Carrow Road very depleted, and they've been hit with more injuries. Former Norwich City defender Ben Gibson not in the matchday squad today. He misses out due to injury alongside Robert Bezenik, who scored that winning goal away at Hull, which means Stoke are going with this as their team. They've got Simpkin in goal, so Victor Johansson out as well. Talibierov, Phillips, Wilmot and Laurel is their back four. Pearson and Rigo and Junho will be their midfield three, with Thomas, Cisse and Mbwama their front three. Bonham, Dixon, Griffin, Kelly, Seko, Nzonzi, Fukumu, Manhurth and Gallagher their bench. They're very, very depleted, and obviously Tuamendi as well is at the African Cup of Nations. So Mark Robbins arrives here with a very depleted lineup. I'm pretty sure that is a right-footed player at left back for them, unless, of course, it means that that's a back three, which I think it has potential to be looking at our lineup. So we'll see how that unfolds. But it reiterates the sense of opportunity, doesn't it, Paddy? If you think about all those times we were talking about luck with Norwich City and the lack of, there are some stuff in the recent weeks that, and you make your own luck, don't you, as the saying goes, that are beginning to fall in their way. And you look at that Stoke team, who have started the season really well but dropped off a little bit. That feels like a hell of an opportunity here for them today at Carrow Road.
Yeah, I thought he couldn't really suppress the smile yesterday, could he, Clement, when he was talking about all the elements you've mapped out there in terms of Mark Robbins' challenges with selection for this game. Tony Springett playing left back at Watford, springs to mind, one or two other square pegs in round holes that Clement has had to deal with. So that's the nature of it. Certainly this time of year, fourth game in 10, 11, 12 days. And maybe on the face of it, if that is the case in terms of Stoke, and being a bit threadbare, then the measure is tipped a little bit more towards Norwich, where in previous games under Clement, that wasn't the case. So any advantage going, as he made a very quick point, I thought, after the QPR for a game today, which is going to be two very tired sets of players, any edge you can get, be it in terms of selection availability or in terms of the 20-odd thousand who turn up here today to get them over the line, just to get by hook or by crook another win on the board. And then that would be, I think, 10 from 15, which would be a fantastic return over the festive period. But for a late sting at Preston would have been 12 from 15. So what a turn of events that would be.
Yeah, let's talk about the pitch, Paddy, because I got here just after 12 o'clock this afternoon, and I know there's been kind of a flurry of kind of speculation and stuff on social media as I was walking to the ground. So first thing I did was came out here and looked at the pitch. They had those big kind of lamps that you see on after games. They were shining down, particularly in the middle of the pitch. There were, I think, Pete the Kit Man was out there. Others were out there with shovels. I ended up on there as well at one stage to how about Mike, who's sat behind us, did far more than I did. So worth saying that. But yeah, we between us managed to get there were little pellets of ice. The actual surface was okay and was soft when you were on it. And actually, as we look out on the pitch, particularly just in front of us here, there are still some sort of elements of the ice that was here, but a fantastic job. And there was some members of the exec committee and all sorts out there with shovels. So it's been a real team effort to clear this pitch today.
Thank you. You want to avail the audience who the exec committee members were who were out there, mate?
Yeah, Anthony Richards was one. James Hill was the other. Yeah, there might have been others, but they were the only ones that were in my half and in my section when I was on there.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wasn't here, so I can't pass comment. It seems a little bit strange to me that having seen the snowfall we had yesterday, that you were needed to be co-opted onto the pitch. But, I haven't spoken to anybody in terms of the club with that. But that does seem a little bit strange that it was left that late. But there you go. But the good thing is there's a little light sprinkling from our higher vantage at the back of the city stand now of snow. But clearly the grass would have been protected. They've got the undersoil here. So I'm not sure. I think it was more the surface clearance of the snow rather than any danger to the game. But then you look at Ipswich, and our colleagues were an hour from Portsmouth earlier today before that game got called off. So you explained it to me, Sheffield United have had a bit of an issue as well today. So maybe, maybe it's just a half of the course this time of year. Certainly this part of the country where we've had, I think, relatively quite a heavy snowfall. So well done you, well done everybody else. We picked up a shovel to get this game on.
Yeah, it was mostly the stewards and, as I say, Mike behind me and the others who did much more of the heavy lifting than I did. I sort of joined in at the end for a bit of glory. No, I didn't. But that's how it unfolded. The pitch, looking very good out there. The referee was out there whilst I was rolling the ball around.
I've just seen this comment. I'll put this forward.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I think we had enough to say on that, didn't we, last time out. Let's speak about this though. Let me try and find the comment of someone asking. You've alluded to it a couple of times. Let me try and find it. This is great video, isn't it? But Ali Ahmed, there we go. I'll put Finley's comment up because he mentions him. Where's Ahmed? Where is he, Paddy?
Well, he's here. We know that because we've seen photographic evidence of him, accompanied by some recruitment types, shall we say, from the Norwich end. So. Yeah, I mean, you've had a conversation with one or two before the game, and it would seem that is moving to a very near, if not a button press in the next 24 hours, maybe even sooner than that. So first one through the door probably won't be the last one, but I'd imagine he'll be an interesting spectator looking at what is, barring an 11th hour, 59 minutes twist, his new team and his new teammates. And we're hearing, I mean, there was figures bandied around the 2 million mark. I think it's a little bit lower than that, isn't he? Maybe around about 1.4. But and anybody questioning that in terms of that seems a bit on the cheap side. I think if you look at its contractual situation, Vancouver have triggered a 12-month option just last month, in fact. So he's effectively now in the final 12 months, and that'll probably explain why a 25-year-old Canadian international with the numbers he had in the MLS last season.
He's bought the weather, hasn't he?
Well, he'll be well used to this, yeah. This is a mild day for him if he's coming from Vancouver. But so that'll be interesting whether Philippe Clement will want to be drawn on it. He was pretty clear.
I suspect no.
He was pretty clear when he was asked about Sargent after QPR that would be the one and only time he would talk about speculation. But let's just say, barring a major turn of events, that Ali Ahmed is Norwich's first signing of this new window.
Yeah, left winger, 25 years of age, Canadian international, all of that stuff, Paddy. I think it feels like quite a good profile of signing that Norwich City have hopefully, not confirmed yet, but hopefully been able to get through the door.
Yes, indeed. And it feels, I mean, I have to be brutally honest, did I know anything about Ali Ahmed before yesterday or the day before when you put it out first? No. So we'll have to do a bit of crash course on him. But more importantly, it's irrelevant what we think. Lee Dunn, Ben Napper, all the analysts, Philippe Clement as well, who made it quite clear, names will be put to me, I will reject some and I will say no, go for them, and I'll put some names into the mix. Yeah. This guy's passed all those tests. So there
is Philippe Clement. Look, he's just emerged, I think, to have a look at the playing surface potentially.
Yeah, compared to Loftus Road, he'll be more than happy. Stefan van der Heijden and his assistant having a little mosey. But clearly that man is very happy with this deal. Otherwise, it's not progressing to the point where, we believe medicals and what have you done, personal terms agreed, and it's now just releasing an official confirmation. So, and yeah, purely on the numbers, purely on the fact that, I mean, that's, there's some very good attacking players in that Canadian setup. So if he is getting a look in, I saw some quotes, was it you put me in the story about from Jesse Marsh, the national team boss, about how intelligent he is in terms of tactically and technically. All of those things sound really good. I mean, it's hard to benchmark MLS to the championship. I mean, there was a lad at Charlotte, Adjamang, who came in at Derby. I don't think he's ripped up any
Morris
trees.
Has been very good, though,
well, he has been. So that's what I'm saying. It's hard to say definitively coming out of the MLS, but I think there's enough evidence to suggest that he will be an upgrade on some of the other options that they've got in those wider areas. And a fair play to the lad, because he will have looked at it and looked at Norwich, look where they are in the table, and maybe thought, well, do I want my first step into England to end in 6 months in League One? No, but he likes what he's clearly heard from Clement and Napper and the roadmap to where they're looking to get this club, and he wants to be part of it. So, fair play to the lad. So, but in terms of a player, I have to pass because I haven't seen anything of him. I don't know anything about him, so we'll have to do our homework from here on in. But I think we can trust the judgment of Philippe Clement in most things, and he clearly rates this guy. And the fact that they've made him their first signing of the January window, which he was one they wanted to do quite early, so they obviously rated him pretty highly, I'd say.
Yeah, played in the MLS final against Inter Miami in a game that they lost. I think he did score, yes. Yeah, and Lionel Messi played that day as well. So not bad pedigree, and for sure will be part of that you'd imagine, providing he can play well here and avoid any sort of injuries. Part of that World Cup squad, home World Cup for Canada, of course, in the summer, which I'm sure he will be absolutely chomping at the bit to be involved in. Back to this game then Paddy here, and obviously we will bring you any more on that as and when it does drop and develop throughout the day or maybe into tomorrow. How do you see this going this afternoon? Tough test against a good team, clearly one that is depleted, but they showed at Hull, even when depleted, even when they have injuries, they're capable of getting results. And Mark Robins, although he's never beaten Norwich City as a manager,
should have done in the last meeting.
Should have definitely have ticked that off. But there's a lot to like about this Stoke team. I think we saw at the Bet 365 just how good they were without probably that clinical edge that I think, sort of speaking as I did to Tunney on Terrace talk, the Stoke fans seems to suggest that's maybe been the problem this season for them.
Yeah, I mean, I must confess, I'm just looking down there, 11.
Mbwana is on loan from Man City, isn't he?
Yeah. Did he play in that game, the reverse fixture? I mean, Manhoff has always impressed me, but he's on the bench today. But when Clement was talking yesterday, that was how I see them. They're very good in wide areas. They've got a good front player, and he rated the 10 as well. So. And that was the fluidity I liked about them that day. That was a marked improvement on Stoke teams that Norwich have played in recent times. Absolutely. And if they could have shot straight, they'd have won that game easy. That was the Coventry back to the wall, Liam Manning type display. But today, obviously, that was then, this is now, and this is a different Norwich completely. And if they are struggling with some injuries to key players, they've obviously fallen off that very high perch they'd hit at that point. I mean, they were like first or second, weren't they? They were really setting the pace. They've dropped considerably from that. So, it's proving to be a little bit of a struggle in the intervening months. And for me, the way Norwich are on an upward curve, tight, but 2-1 win for the Canaries.
That's where I'm falling. 2-1. I think today, tight, but a victory for Norwich to continue that very good festive and New Year periods, which of course is the fourth game in 10 days. Norwich so far 6 points from 9. That's not bad going at all. Pinken.com, of course, the place to go. We have your coverage, analysis, and reaction. Go on.
I'm just going to say, I think we've got 1 day left on our festive sale on the subscriber front. If you haven't already done so, signing players left, right, and centre now. What you need to be on board. What was that? That was a pigeon, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We're not signing pigeons, but maybe he's as fast as a pigeon. I don't know, but this is now the time. This is your last chance to £15 for the rest of the year. Every angle covered, everything we produce and more. Good app as well. Widely regarded, quite a good experience. So get yourself on any of the Pinken social channels. There's a pinned post with all the links, all the gen. But you're now in the last chance saloon.
Yeah, make sure you do that. It's .com/subscribe, and there's also, is it prize draw entry to win a £100 Norwich City voucher? Yeah. So there you go. There's a little incentive for you to do that.
Shirt with Ahmed. Could you get a shirt with Ahmed on your back? Probably not for £100. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think you probably could. I think you'd be. You might be tight. You might have a bit of change to spare. You might be able to buy a gnome or something. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But there we go. Pinken.com, the place to go for all of that as well. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the game this afternoon, and let's hope it's not too cold for everyone here this afternoon. I'm sure we'll all be warmed up with 3 points for Norwich. See you soon.